Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll discuss two topics, that is about fluoroquinolones and anti-malarial drugs. I'm Dr. Ramya, Pharmacology PG. First, we'll discuss about fluoroquinolones, then we'll talk about anti-malarial drugs. Fluoroquinolones. So what are fluoroquinolones? These are the synthetic agents which mainly act on gram-negative bacteria. The first discovered drug was nalidixic acid. So it is effective against gram-negative bacteria like Salmonella, Shigella, E. coli, Proteus, and Enterobacter. The fluoroquinolones, they are fluorinated quinolones, that is, they'll have fluorine in their structure. So we'll take ciprofloxacin as a prototype drug and understand the mechanism of action, then pharmacological actions, and adverse reactions of these drugs. Fluoroquinolones, they have widest range among the older agents and most potent drugs. Coming to mechanism of action. First, they have two mechanisms of actions. That is, they inhibit topoisomerase 2, that is DNA gyrase, and they also inhibit topoisomerase 4. In gram-negative bacteria, they primarily act against topoisomerase 2 and inhibit gyrase. That is in, for example, like in E. coli. Whereas in gram-positive, they mainly act or they mainly inhibit the topoisomerase 4. These are the enzymes. So fluoroquinolones, they are safe for the host cells because they have different type of topoisomerase 2. They can be inhibited only at therapeutic concentrations, so that the person, it is beneficial to the person who is taking fluoroquinolones. Coming to the classification of fluoroquinolones according to bacterial spectrum. First generation fluoroquinolones includes norfloxacin, lomfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, pefloxacin. Coming to second generation, levofloxacin, prolifloxacin. Third generation, gatifloxacin, gemifloxacin, sparfloxacin. Fourth generation, moxifloxacin, provafloxacin, alatrofloxacin, and finafloxacin. In our daily day-to-day basis, we'll come across more of ciprofloxacin, norfloxacin, levofloxacin, and ofloxacin. Okay. The points which have to be noted that these fluoroquinolones, they inhibit only prokaryotic DNA gyrase at therapeutic doses only. That is at the treatment doses which you are giving. It only inhibits at that doses. If you give less doses or increased doses, it cannot inhibit. Coming to eukaryotic DNA isomerase, this is prokaryotic, whereas eukaryotic DNA isomerase, it is inhibited only at very high concentrations. So these are toxic to man. Coming to pharmacokinetics of fluoroquinolones. Bioavailability is 80 to 100% for the most of the drugs, but norfloxacin, it has very less bioavailability, that is 30 to 35% only. Their plasma protein binding is 20 to 40%. Coming to T-half, 8 to 10 hours, which is approximate for most of the drugs, but norfloxacin, it has more, that is, it has less, and 3 to 5 hours. It has post-antibiotic effect of 3 to 6 hours. Coming to metabolism, they are metabolized in liver and excreted in kidney. They are mostly concentrated, that is after reaching into systemic circulation. They are mostly before elimination, they are mostly concentrated in mucosal tissues of GIT, genitourinary tract, respiratory tract, prostate, lungs, heart, and also macrophages. Fluoroquinolones concentration in CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, bone, prostatic fluid, it is less compared to serum concentration. Okay. Pefloxacin, ofloxacin, these levels in acetic fluid, they are similar to that of serum concentration. That is, in ascitic fluid and serum means blood. Ascites and serum, ascitic fluid and serum concentration, these drugs, they have similar concentrations. Coming to ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, pefloxacin, provafloxacin, these drugs, they are also excreted through breast milk. So when a breastfeeding mother is advised with these drugs, they have to be careful about the adverse reactions also. Coming to placental barrier, they also get concentrated in placental barrier and also the amniotic fluid. So why I'm telling this point, it is important to know whether these drugs can be given in pregnancy or not. Coming to therapeutic uses of fluoroquinolones. The most and first important use you have to remember is urinary tract infections. So in this urinary tract infections, you will have two different categories, like in uncomplicated and in complicated. In complicated, you will give plurifloxacin, that is 600 mg, and in uncomplicated, you will give norfloxacin. You can give norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, pefloxacin, or lomifloxacin. These dosages are not that much important to you, but you will be at least knowing that whether they have to be given for 4 to 6 weeks or more than that or less than that. So just remember that they have to be given for 1 month or at least 6 weeks. Okay. Coming to acute bacterial diarrhea also. After UTI, they can be given in acute bacterial diarrhea. So they do not disturb the gut flora and they provide high fecal concentration. Here we can use norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, or ofloxacin. It can be prescribed 5 days. BD means twice a day. Okay, as you all know. So here we are two uses we have got, UTI and diarrhea. So the next use and the most important use is Salmonella typhoid fever. So the most and the first drug of choice in typhoid fever will be fluoroquinolones. So one of the most preferred drugs. They have high efficacy and low incidence of complications. That means adverse reactions are very less and least chances of relapse. Relapse means reoccurrence of the fever. Okay, they have good intracellular accumulation. They are excreted in bile and feces. So the most preferred and most chosen drugs are ciprofloxacin 500 mg and ofloxacin 400 mg. These two drugs, they can be given twice a day for 10 days, or the pefloxacin or norfloxacin, they can be given for 14 days. They should be given actually. They should be given for 14 days. So if the patient is unable to take orally, if he is so much dehydrated that he is drowsy, if he cannot take it orally, then you can give ciprofloxacin 200 mg IV BD, then followed by oral route after defervescence. Defervescence means after his temperature has come down. That is, his fever has come down. So first you will be giving IV, later you can shift to oral route of drug administration. Coming to resistance of fluoroquinolone, it is also observed, like frequent usage of fluoroquinolones, if you are using it after a few times, resistance is seen. That is, even though you take the drug, there might not be the good outcome. Okay. Coming to the next use, they also can be used in sexually transmitted diseases. What are the drugs which can be used? Norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, pefloxacin, lomifloxacin. So single oral dose, what they say is single oral dose, it provides 95% cure rate in Neisseria gonorrhea, gonococcal urethritis, cervicitis, and proctitis. Such kind of diseases, such kind of sexually transmitted diseases, single oral dose, that is oral 800 mg of single dose, can provide 95% of cure rate, or 250 to 500 mg of ciprofloxacin, or all these dosages, single oral dose can cure 95%. In case of chancroid, that is, which is caused due to Haemophilus ducreyi, 98% cure rate is seen when you give ciprofloxacin for 3 days. Okay. In the other cases like chlamydia trachomatis and Neisseria gonorrhoeae, only ofloxacin is effective against both these diseases, where you have to give this drug for 7 days. The next use is soft tissue and wound infections. So in such kind of diabetic foot or malignant otitis externa, in these kind of soft tissue infections or wound infections, also you can use combination of these drugs like ciprofloxacin plus clindamycin or metronidazole, which is anti-amoebic drug, but you are using a combination of fluoroquinolone and other drug in diabetic foot, and only ciprofloxacin in case of malignant otitis externa. This malignant otitis externa, this you can see in the ear. Okay. Mostly these kind of infections, they are caused due to gram-negative organisms. Coming to the next use of fluoroquinolones in respiratory infections, first generation fluoroquinolones, they are used for gram-negative diseases like sinusitis and bronchitis. These drugs, they cannot be used. It's not like they cannot be used, but they are not the first choice for these respiratory infections. Coming to second generation, they can be used in all gram-positive as well as gram-negative infections, like prulifloxacin 600 mg orally. So acute other respiratory infections where you can use these fluoroquinolones are acute exacerbation of chronic bronchitis, community acquired pneumonia, nosocomial pneumonia. Nosocomial pneumonia means pneumonia which has occurred in hospital. Like if a patient stays in hospital for some other reason, for some fever, or any other typhoid or malaria, if he is staying in a hospital, if he is acquiring pneumonia because of his stay in hospital, then it is called as nosocomial pneumonia. The other respiratory infections are acute sinusitis, community acquired pneumonia. Coming to fourth generation fluoroquinolones, they are also used in anaerobic infections. They have enhanced activity against penicillin, erythromycin resistant gram-positive bacteria. In such cases, you can use moxifloxacin. Coming to tuberculosis, also you can use fluoroquinolones as a combination therapy. Like H plus R resistance means H is isoniazid and R is rifampicin. In such case of resistances, you can use ciprofloxacin or ofloxacin, which are combined with anti-tubercular drugs, which you will be knowing in the next class, which is taken by Sudhir. Today itself that will be uploaded about anti-tubercular drugs. So in that case also you can, in tuberculosis also as combination therapy, you can use fluoroquinolones and Mycobacterium avium complex in AIDS patients. In such cases, third generation fluoroquinolones, they are used as adjuvant. Adjuvants means add-on treatment for Mycobacterium avium complex. Intensive phase 4 drugs and maintenance phase 2 drugs, these are not that much important for you. Coming to adverse effects of fluoroquinolones, the first and most important adverse effect is tendonitis. Tendon ruptures on prolonged use. On prolonged use, you will have this tendon rupture. Okay. Other than that, they are dose dependent, they are mild, and discontinuation. Okay. Coming to nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, as you all know, this all you will be writing for every drugs. Coming to photosensitivity, this is also the most common. Then ciprofloxacin, ligament damage has been associated in anthrax treatment and in prophylaxis cases also. So in anthrax also you can use ciprofloxacin, where in such kind of treatment you may see ligament damage. Other adverse effects include QTC prolongation with moxifloxacin. So that is not that much important. Then coming to gatifloxacin, in gatifloxacin also you see QTC prolongation and photosensitivity. It is risky in diabetes, so it has been recently withdrawn from the market. Coming to seizures, it has lower effect. So clinical reports, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, oxyfloxacin, moxifloxacin, etc. Hepatotoxicity, provafloxacin, alotrofloxacin. Okay, with these drugs, you can see hepatotoxicity is seen. Adverse effects in pregnancy, increased risk of malformations, spontaneous abortions, and birth defects are seen. So these are the adverse effects caused by fluoroquinolones. So here we complete about fluoroquinolones. Our next topic is about anti-malarial drugs. So as you all know, malaria is caused by a mosquito, which is mainly which is caused by female Anopheles mosquito. So there are different species of these, in which the first four species are seen in India. They are Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae. These four are seen in India. Plasmodium knowleski, they are seen in Africa and other countries. Okay, but the first four species are to be remembered. So coming to the most important symptoms, what are the symptoms? Fever with chills and sweating. So intermediate fever, that is, he'll get fever after taking the drugs or antipyretic drugs. Fever will reduce, and again after 3 or 4 hours, again he'll get fever with chills and sweating. He'll have central headache, then muscular muscle pains, myalgias, whole body pains, back pain, nausea and vomiting. Splenomegaly will be seen, that is enlargement of spleen. Dry cough may also be seen. Coming to life cycle of malarial parasite. So when a female Anopheles mosquito bites a human, like any of the species, if it bites a human, the sporozoites which are present in the mosquito, they enter into the human. So these sporozoites, they directly enter into the liver. So anything before these sporozoites, before entering into RBC, it is called as pre-erythrocytic stage. So now we are talking about pre-erythrocytic stage. From sporozoites to merozoites, it's called as pre-erythrocytic stage. So sporozoites, after entering into the liver, they multiply in the vacuole. After the vacuole gets loaded with so many sporozoites, the vacuole ruptures, and these sporozoites, they enter into the circulation as merozoites. So till here, it is called as pre-erythrocytic stage. Erythrocyte means RBC. So before they haven't entered into RBC still. So it is called as pre-erythrocytic stage. So before releasing into the circulation, they are called as sporozoites. After releasing into the circulation, that is blood circulation, they are called as merozoites. Now these merozoites, they enter into the RBC, then they undergo some structural changes in the RBC, and they convert these merozoites are converted into cyzons. These cyzons, again, they are released from the RBC into the blood circulation. So this is called as erythrocytic stage. So merozoite to cyzon stage is called erythrocytic stage. So these cyzons, they are again released. Few of the cyzons are released into the circulation, and few of the cyzons, they again attack the other RBCs to again follow the next cycle. Okay, so this is called as erythrocytic stage. So these cyzons, then they convert into gametocytes. So this is called as exoerythrocytic stage. So three stages we have: pre-erythrocytic, erythrocytic, and exoerythrocytic stage. Here we have sporozoites and merozoites. In pre-erythrocytic, in erythrocytic we have cyzoins, and in exoerythrocytic we have gametocytes. Again, these gametocytes in these gametocytes are present in the circulation. Again, when a mosquito bites a human, these gametocytes, they enter into the mosquito's GIT. In the mosquito's gut, again these gamete, they form into zygote into ookinete, ookinete into oocyst. Okay, so again this oocyst, they again convert into sporonticide, again the sporozoite. Again this whole cycle continues. So man is intermediate host here and the mosquito is the definite host. Okay, I hope you understood this. So uh, the cycle which has taken place in the mosquito is called as sexual, and that which is taking place in the human is called asexual. Here it is schizogony and here it is sporogony. Okay, coming to the chemical classification of anti-malarial drugs. Okay, we have 4 aminoquinolones, 8 aminoquinolones, cinchona alkaloids, quinoline, methanol, biguanides, diaminopyrimidines, sulfonamides, tetracyclines, naphthoquinone, sesquiterpene lactones. So all of them are not important. We'll discuss about the drugs which are mostly used and which are important to you to know about them. Okay. Coming to chloroquine. Chloroquine is the most and first important drug which is used in malaria and which is used to treat malaria. So what is the mechanism? Here in hemoglobin, that is in RBC, we all know that hemoglobin is present. Hemoglobin, it will be breakdown by the malarial parasite into heme. So globin will be utilized by the malarial parasite. So this heme, which is very highly toxic, okay, the malarial parasite. This heme is then converted into hemozoin. So it is not toxic to Plasmodium. So this conversion of heme to hemozoin is generally done by heme polymerase. So drugs like chloroquine, quinine, and mefloquine, they inhibit this conversion of heme to hemozoin. Okay. Coming to pharmacological actions of anti-malarial drugs, as you all know, the first and most important is anti-malarial activity. They are active against erythrocytic forms of, that is in the erythrocytic stage, merozoites to cyzoins. They are active against erythrocytic forms of all the species of Plasmodium vivax, ovale, maraliae, and some of the sensitive strains of falciparum. They also act against gametocytes of vivax and ovale, but not to falciparum. So resistance may also develop for this mechanism. Then other parasitic infections like giardiasis, teniasis, extraintestinal amoebiasis, other than anti-malarial activity, these all are okay. Other actions which are seen by chloroquine are they show anti-arrhythmic action, weak smooth muscle relaxation also they cause, anti-inflammatory, antihistamic, local irritant also. But on a day-to-day basis, will not use chloroquine for these uses like as an antihistamic or for muscle relaxation. For these uses on day-to-day basis will not use. So the most important uses of chloroquine, they can be remembered with the mnemonic of red lip MG. MG means Mahatma Gandhi. You can remember in such a way. This is the easiest way. R means rheumatoid arthritis, where you can use chloroquine. Then E is extraintestinal amoebiasis. D is discoid lupus erythematosus. L is leprine reaction, which is seen in leprosy. I is infectious mononucleus. P is photogenic reactions, M is malaria, and G is giardiasis. So if you remember red lip, you can write the uses of chloroquine. Coming to pharmacokinetics of chloroquine, they are well absorbed and highly plasma bound. So they are concentrated in liver, they're highly plasma bound, so its actions can be seen even after the drug is stopped also, like for about, if you stop a week ago also, its actions can be seen for a, like it is excreted even after 1 week. Then they are mostly concentrated in liver, spleen, kidney, lungs, and leukocytes. The selective accumulation is seen in retina, so it might cause ocular toxicity. T half is around 3 to 10 days, which increases from few days to few weeks. Coming to adverse drug reactions of chloroquine, it causes intolerance in certain patients, like they will not tolerate chloroquine, so they might show reactions like nausea, vomiting, or anorexia, skin rashes, angioneurotic edema, photosensitivity, pigmentation, exfoliative dermatitis. If such cases, if such reactions are seen, then you have to immediately stop the drug. In long-term therapy, it may also cause bleaching of hair. It rarely causes pancytopenia, thrombocytopenia. Okay. Other adverse drug reactions, as I have told, ocular toxicity, um, high doses only cause this. So temporary loss of accommodation when also seen. Bullseye is very important. Bullseye is one of the adverse drug reaction. Then it might also cause retinopathy, that is constriction of arteries, edema, blue pigmentation of the eye, constricted field vision also are seen. Coming to CNS, insomnia, that is the person cannot sleep properly, and it might lead to depression, seizures, or ototoxicity in the ear. Coming to the CVS, that is heart related. So ST and T wave abnormalities will be seen. Abrupt fall in BP, that is hypotension. He might, after taking the drug, within 15 to 20 minutes, hypotension might occur or fall of BP might occur, and he may fall down. Cardiac arrest have also been reported in some children. So whenever we are prescribing chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, we have to make sure that the patient is not on any antihypertensive drugs, because if he has taken a antihypertensive, that is a BP lowering drug, again this drug is also causing decrease in BP, so it might lead to hypotension, and there may be fall of the patient. At the same time, you have to check whether he has any other cardiac conditions or any other conditions. Okay, hydroxychloroquine, it is less toxic and properties are similar to that of chloroquine. As I've told, I think you all might be knowing, before this corona second phase, everybody as a prophylactic in the hospital, or in other rural areas, in PHCs, in hospital health workers, hydroxychloroquine was given as prophylaxis. It was given for 6 weeks, weekly once. Some people also have taken it for 8 weeks. It depended on them. Coming to amodiaquine, it is as effective as chloroquine. The pharmacological actions are similar to that of chloroquine. So this amodiaquine, it is effective in chloroquine resistant people also. If okay, adverse events are like GIT, headache, photosensitivity, and rarely agranulocytosis. So it is not recommended for prophylaxis. Coming to pyronardine and piperaquine, they are effective in resistant cases. Coming to quinine or quinine, they in 1820, Pelletier and Covento, they are scientists, they isolated quinine from cinchona bark. So that's why they are called as cinchona alkaloids. So quinine, the mechanism of action of quinine is, it is similar to chloroquine, and they inhibit the parasites heme polymerase. Okay, they act as protoplasmic poison to the parasite and poisons the parasite's feeding mechanism. They hamper and supply of amino acids and peptides. Coming to pharmacological actions of quinine, same as anti-malarial action. They are also active on erythrocytic forms of all malarial parasites, including resistant strains of falciparum strains. That is, chloroquine was only effective against sensitive strains of falciparum, whereas quinine, it is effective against resistant falciparum strains also. Then coming to other uses are, they are other actions are, they cause local irritant effect. Cardiovascular actions are, they depress myocardium, they depress excitability, they decrease conductivity, they increase refractory period, they produce profound hypotension on rapid IV. That is immediately they cause hypotension. Miscellaneous actions like mild analgesics, that is reducing pain, and antipyretic activity, reducing fever. Coming to adverse reactions of quinine, as they are extracted from cinchona, this adverse reaction is called as synchronism. In synchronism, what are the symptoms which we see? Or synchronism is called when these symptoms are seen. That is tinnitus, that is ringing bells kind of sound you hear in your ears. That is called as tinnitus. When nausea, vomiting, headache, confusion, difficulty in hearing, visual disturbances, vertigo, and cardiac arrhythmia. Other conditions like diarrhea, flushing, and marked perspiration. Still higher doses when you are giving, then symptoms like delirium, fever, tachypnea, respiratory depression, cyanosis are also seen in synchronism. The other reactions which is related to quinine are idiosyncrasy. It is similar to synchronism, but it occurs in therapeutic doses only. Synchronism occurs at higher doses. Coming cardiovascular toxicity, they cause cardiac arrest, hypotension, fatal arrhythmias. Black water fever is also seen with quinine, but it is very rare. Coming to hypoglycemia, low sugar levels, because they stimulate insulin release and may cause hypoglycemia. So it should be given with 5% glucose. Coming to uses of quinine, malaria, as you all know, that's why we are learning. So it is used in uncomplicated resistant falciparum malaria and also in cerebral malaria. They can also be used in myotonia congenita, then in nocturnal muscle cramps, and they can also be used as spermicidal, that is killing of sperm, kills the sperms in vaginal creams, varicose veins. And in tick-borne like infections also, quinine can be used along with clindamycin. Coming to primaquine. Primaquine, the mechanism of action is exactly not known, but the metabolites means primaquine, after entering into the body, the drug converts into a metabolite from one form to other form. When it is converted, it is called as metabolite. It inhibits the coenzyme Q, governed by respiratory process of the parasite in the exoerythrocytic stage, that is after scission stage. When gametocytes are formed, in that stage, this primaquine, it inhibits the coenzyme Q. Okay, so these oxidizing metabolites, they are also responsible for the hemolytic side effects of the drug. Coming to antimalarial action, it shows its action in both pre-erythrocytic stage and exoerythrocytic stage of hypnozoites. They have gametocidal action, that is they kill the gametocytes, and they are most effective antimalarial, which prevent the transmission of diseases in all 4 species. Okay, the greatest use in providing radical cure That is, when you know in certain area there is a pandemic of malaria, you can use this drug before going to that area. If you know that your area means a certain city or certain state, you know that there's a malaria pandemic and you have to go to that place, so you can start using Primaquine, that using it before going to that stage, and to prevent relapse for Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale. This is the only drug which is effective against exoerythrocytic and pre-erythrocytic of all forms of malarial parasites. In G6PD deficiency, it should be evaluated because it is acting in both the stages. Before starting the 14-day treatment, G6PD deficiency status should be evaluated. Coming to uses, these are the main important uses. The primary use is for the radical cure of relapsing malaria. That is 15 mg daily for 14 days with a dose of chloroquine. Okay. The other uses in falciparum malaria, 45 mg of single dose with chloroquine, curative dose to kill gametes and cut down transmission of malaria. Coming to mefloquine, quinoline methanol derivative, which is developed to deal with chloroquine resistant malaria. They act rapidly in erythrocytic zygonticide, slower than the chloroquine and quinine. This drug, it is effective against chloroquine sensitive and resistant Plasmodium. The mechanism of action of mefloquine is similar to chloroquine. Coming to adverse effects, in GIT, they cause bitter taste, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea. They cause neuropsychiatric disturbances like anxiety, hallucinations, sleep disturbances, psychosis, and convulsions. Coming to cardiovascular system, they cause bradycardia, sinus arrhythmia, and QT prolongation. Teratogenicity, so to avoid, it should be avoided in first trimester. Teratogenicity means it enters into the baby if through the placenta, if the mother is pregnant and using these drugs, using mefloquine. Coming to miscellaneous, allergic skin reactions and hepatitis have also been discovered. Coming to uses of mefloquine, it is used in multi-drug resistant falciparum. It can be treated in uncomplicated falciparum and multi-drug resistant malaria. It should be used along with artesunate. Prophylaxis in multi-drug resistant, they can be used with 250 mg per week, starting for 2 to 3 weeks before to assess side effects. Okay, due to fear of development of drug resistance, mefloquine should not be used as drug for prophylaxis in residents of endemic area. Okay. Coming to artemisinin. Artemisinin, it is the active principle of plant, that is Artemisia annua. It is a sesquiterpene lactone derivative. It is most potent and rapid acting blood schizonticides, that is, they kill the schizont stage. Coming to their action is very short, that is short duration of action and high recrudescence rate when they are used alone. They are poorly soluble in water and oil. The artemisinin derivatives are artesunate, artemether, and arteether. So this is the plant Artemisia annua. From these derivatives are extracted. Coming to artesunate, they're water soluble of dihydroartemisinin. So they can be given oral, IM or IV. After oral ingestion, absorption is incomplete but fast, but they rapidly convert into dihydroartemisinin. Okay, with t-half of 30 to 60 minutes. So after repeated dosing, auto-induction of its own metabolism by CYP2B6 and CYP3A4. This is not that much important. These are the enzymes which are present in the liver. So they are, if you just remember that they are metabolized in the liver, that is enough. Coming to artemether, they are artemether is lipid soluble. It can be given intramuscular or intravenous. After oral, it has slower absorption and it is unpredictable. This drug, it undergoes first pass metabolism. Then for severe malaria, it is the second choice of option when IV artesunate is not available. Only in that kind of cases, so this is the second choice. So oral artemether is used in combination with lumefantrine. It is another drug, another class of drug. Coming to artemether, intramuscular administration only to adults for complicated malaria. It can be used only to adults. Because of its longer elimination, that is 23 hours, it is recommended in a 3-day schedule. Okay. Once in 3 days. They are less dependable in severe and complicated malaria. WHO recommends a 5-day course. Okay. Coming to adverse effects, adverse events of the all three artemisinin derivatives are leukopenia, hypersensitivity, like fever, itching, then nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, headache, dizziness, tinnitus, abnormal bleeding, dark urine, reticulopenia. All these are the adverse effects. So these are the anti-malarial drugs which are important for you. If you learn about these drugs, I think it will be sufficient. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can comment.